Hello, this is Naeem Aslam, Chief Market Analyst at AvaTrade. Today is the 11th of February and here are the fundamentals that I'm really looking at. Let's focus on the US markets to begin with, because we saw those record highs coming back into the market, push the S&P 500 index to all-time high. This positive momentum was picked up by Asian markets, because we saw Asian markets somewhat mixed but still very positive on the upside, and investors over in Europe are feeding on this particular optimism today, and then this is what pushing the markets higher. But the question is, what happened about all that coronavirus fear and the concerns and the qualms around that? Well, for today, they've all brushed away because they do not think that is really going to influence the market, because they are more focused on what is what's the rate that the people are really getting ill. They're not really looking at the particular measures where they should be focusing on. What is that measure? The capacity, the industrial capacity rate over in China. Because, for instance, if we look at Apple's largest supplier, Foxconn, their factories are only operating at 10% capacity. If these factories do not return to 100% capacity by end of March, we are bound to get that shave off of in terms of a basis point of up to over 30% from the Chinese GDP. And remember, China makes 20% almost of the global GDP, and if we see China slowing down, how is that possible for these markets to continue to those record highs? Nonetheless, those concerns are not for today. Markets are focused on momentum, and that liquidity is really driving the prices higher. Over in the UK, we had the UK's GDP quarterly data, and it was a stellar number because investors were expecting some sort of a contraction. We didn't see that. The optimism started to build up that Boris Johnson, the UK's Prime Minister, is really doing well with the economy, and the economy is not shrinking, and hence traders came back into the market and they pushed sterling higher. We saw this intensive rally to the upside for sterling because it was way oversold to begin with, just like how euro is. And speaking of euro, remember Christine Lagarde is going to speak later in the afternoon, so keep an eye on her comments, because if she says that okay, the economy is somewhat more stable, we could see euro moving higher as well, because on a 4-hourly chart the move is very extensively oversold. Like it's just like way oversold on that particular fund. Now, speaking of economic numbers, we do have a US inflation number data later this afternoon, along with Federal Reserve Jerome Powell's testimony, and investors and speculators are going to be focused. The derivatives that you wanted to watch is your dollar index, is S&P 500, Dow Jones, Nasdaq, Euro dollar, and of course gold. That's all for today. See you guys tomorrow.